on Currencies is hereby called to order. May I ask the committee secretary to acknowledge our guests and resource persons attending today?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our guests from the Bangko Sentral ng Filipinas, Attorney Charina B. De Vera Yap, Managing Director, Financial Inclusion and Consumer Empowerment Subsector, and Mr. Melchor T. Labasan, Senior Director in Policy and Specialized Supervision Sector, and Attorney Paul Christian J. Bailon, Deputy Director of the Consumer Protection and Market Conduct Office. From the Philippine National Police, Your Honor, Police Brigadier General Rodolfo Castillo Jr., Directorate for Investigation and Detective Management of the PNP, as well as Police Colonel Armel S. Gongona. From the National Bureau of Investigation, we have Head Agent Palmer U. Malyari. From the Department of Justice, we have State Counsel Angelica Rose C. De Malanta. From Department of Trade and Industry, we have Director Marcus Valdez II, Director of Consumer Protection and Advocacy Bureau. From the Department of Information and Communications Technology, we have USEC David L. Almirol Jr., Undersecretary for E-Government. From the National Privacy Commission, we have Attorney Althea Radovan, Attorney 3, Policy Review Division of the NPC. From the NEDA, we have Assistant Director Generose B. Manlangit. From the Anti-Money Laundering Council, we have Attorney Adrian A. Arpon, Acting Deputy Director, Financial Crimes Investigation Group of the AMLC. From the private sector, we have Mr. Arnel N. Almaden, Associate Director of the Bankers Association of the Philippines. From GCash, Attorney Mark Anthony T. Amorao, their Advocacy Legal Counsel. We would also like to acknowledge observers from the Bank of the Philippine Islands, Attorney Christine Lovely Red Alego, Head of the Government Relations of BPI, as well as Ms. Maria Justine Mendoza, Public Policy Officer, Government Relations. From Globe, Your Honor, Attorney Ariel Tubayan, Head and Policy Division, Corporate and Legal Services Group, which will join us online. From Smart Communication, which will join us online as well, Attorney Kenneth Regañon, Senior Manager, Regulatory and External Affairs. From BLDT, we also have Mr. Gilbert Bautista, Regulatory Executive. That's all, Your Honor.
At this point, let me acknowledge the presence of committee member Senator Francis Tolentino. So at this point,
This just came in. I would like to recognize our guest from the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center, Attorney Florence Filipa Concepcion A. Duque, and Attorney Ryan Joseph Emmanuel M. Tamayo. And from the DOJ, Prosec Agnes Arellano, and their Senior Assistant State Prosecutor. Thank you, Your Honor.
thank you. Again, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Senator Francis Tolentino. And Senator Joel Villanueva, Senate Bill number 1663 by Senator Amy Marcos, Senate Bill number 2407 by Senwin Gatchalian, House Bill number 7393 by Representatives Tieng, Villafuerte, and all. In our hearing last September 18, 2023, we had seen the importance of enacting a law that shall strengthen the prosecution of acts constituting financial fraud. The resource persons from the executive presented different acts of fraud committed online. The committee was made aware that these kinds of schemes and scams are rapidly evolving. As presented by the PNP ACG, they have seen a dramatic rise from January to August of 2023 of emerging cyber financial crimes, such as online selling scams, investment scams, ATM fraud, phishing, call scams or vishing, employment scams, loan scams, package scams, profile hijacking, accommodation scams, and love scams. For this very reason, there's a need to pass this AFASA. We need a legislative measure which not only provides for a penalty after the fact, but one which effectively responds or even prevents criminals from facilitating these scams. We in the Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies believe that trust is the currency of banking and finance. We appreciate the efforts of the BSP, the PNP, and the DICT and other stakeholders in actively pushing this bill, which is intended to ensure that the public will trust our financial system. We agree to the fact that having laws against online scammers is not a guarantee that we can protect financial consumers from the constantly evolving modus operandi of scammers. We have to continuously improve our legal system, if possible, be 2 steps ahead of the scammers at all times to effectively protect the public from their nefarious acts. I thank all our resource persons for sharing their insights and assistance in drafting the AFASA. Let us continue our discussions on AFASA. Thank you, and I would like to ask my colleagues if any questions.
We cannot underscore the importance of this measure, Mr. Chairman, considering fast evolving technologies and including taking into consideration what happened the other day as to PhilHealth, which admittedly is a cybersecurity initiative of some malicious personalities. So I am supportive of this measure, Mr. Chairman, but I have to study the details first. And this is hand in hand with what even our Chief Executive is trying to do right now. The Armed Forces of the Philippines will be forming a cybersecurity command. We're all aware of that. And the gig economy, recent advances in cryptocurrency. Binance will be banned next week, I think, by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, I've heard. So, napakaganda po nito, very timely itong measure na to, Mr. Chairman. I have to transfer to the other room because I'm going to preside in another committee hearing. So I have to leave this very important meeting of yours. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you very much, Senator. Thank you for that very significant, very important statement. Thank you. Thank you. Who's the representative from the BSP? Is that correct? What Senator just said, that Binance will...
It was actually SEC that banned Binance, Senator.
What are the findings of the what are the findings of the SEC that prompted their actions against Binance? Is there anyone who's aware of that? Walang SEC dito. Okay. Just some simple questions for the BSP. Are there any existing guidelines to compel all banks or e-wallets to put their own fraud prevention mechanism? And are there any standards for this?
Yes, Your Honor. There are existing guidelines right now requiring financial institutions, both bank and non-bank financial institutions, to adopt a robust real-time fraud management system. Actually, we are in the process right now of checking yung adequacy, existence, and effectiveness of these measures adopted by the bank. As you know, as mentioned by Senator, the modus operandi keeps on evolving. That's why this fraud management system should also be continuously calibrated. Then,
abroad, are there best practices abroad that you've observed that we can possibly implement here in the
we have actually
country?
we have actually adapted na, let's say, in terms of multi-factor authentication. The fraud management system, there are only a few regulators that have required them. The implementation of that, BSP is one of the regulators na nag-require na. Given, it was actually initially, I think it was initially started by Singapore, and then other regulators followed.
What are these requirements that?
The requirement for financial institutions. So after, let's say, we have already required multi-factor authentication. That's why every time na may transaction ka, you receive one-time PIN to complete the transaction. So if ma-compromise pa yung client, there should be a fraud management system wherein the system would analyze the behavior of transaction. Let's say if the system finds out that a certain transaction is out of pattern, not the usual behavior of the client, then it will already block the transaction or call the client to verify if he or she is the one doing that particular transaction.
Is this a requirement or is this just a recommend?
It's a requirement. It's mandated by the BID. The requirement was in the form of circular. That's why we are in the process of validating the existence, adequacy, and effectiveness of this requirement.
And to what extent has this been implemented in our banking system based on your?
A lot of the financial institutions have already implemented. In fact, others have also adopted AI and machine learning to help them in complying with the requirement of the BSP.
Okay. Is there a GCash representative here also?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning,
morning.
to other distinguished guests of this honorable committee. I am Attorney Mark Anthony Amura po, representing GCash po.
Good morning, attorney. May nabasa kasi ako na may tie-up kayo sa NBI.
Yes po.
I'd like to perhaps ask about some of the details be informed about some of the details
Yeah.
about your partnership.
Yeah, actually, our partnership with NBI started even before the signing of the MOA po. It already started before pa, and it was just our way of publicizing our partnership in order for us to effectively deter cybercrimes. Bali yung partnership po namin, what is important there is for us to be able to share our expertise, knowledge, and resources in order for us to intensify our fight against cybercrimes po.
Thank you. I'd like to momentarily suspend our session. So session suspended. Of course, thank you for GCash and if you can please submit a report to us also so that we can be guided and we can also see the effectiveness of your partnership with NBI.
We will do, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, thank you.
And to the AMLC, I just have a question. Where's the AML? There. Since these scams or frauds, if collated, usually involve a large amount of money, should we not consider this as a cause of action for the AMLA to step in? Can we consider these fraud transactions as predicate offenses for prosecution under the AMLA? So that's my question.
Yes, sir. Good morning. The Anti-Money Laundering Council supports the inclusion of the acts or violations enumerated in sections 4 and 5 to be part of the unlawful activities, Your Honor. Making them as part of the unlawful activities would compel this covered person to report to the AMLAC and for the AMLAC to investigate these acts or violations mentioned in section 4 and 5, Your Honor.
Is the BSP amenable to adopt the position of the AMLC?
Yes, Your Honor. We are.
Thank you very much. So I'd just like to ask, can the committee secretariat confirm if there was already a consultative meeting that was conducted in relation to AFASA prior to today's hearing?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that was conducted last November 16, 2023.
And I presume that for the purposes of the technical working group, we don't have to start from scratch because we already have an informal consultative meeting last November 16, 2023.
Yes, Your Honor.
So first, we will constitute our technical working group for the AFASA, and accordingly, I move for the creation of the technical working group for AFASA and for the records of November 16, 2023, the records of the November 16, 2023 consultative meeting form part of the records for the TWG. Yeah. And hearing no objections, a technical working group is hereby created and the records of the November 16, 2023 consultative meeting shall hereby form part of the records for the TWG. And at this point, let me conclude by expressing my sincerest gratitude to our resource persons excuse me, who participated in our inquiry today and who kindly responded to the committee's questions and shared their valuable insights. We appreciate and take note of your respective comments and positions. I encourage the active participation of our resource persons during our technical working group. After we finish our technical working group meetings, we will finalize our draft substitute bill for our committee report, which we hope we will be able to submit to the plenary when the session opens. So since there are no objections at this point, I would like to adjourn the hearing. And again, thank you very much for the time, your time, and of course, your lending us your opinions regarding this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Tapos na. End na.
Thank you. Bye-bye.